Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Boy Detectives Presents. My name is Anthony Zonfrelli.
Oh, shoot.
And we're live.
No one's going to recognize me if I don't have my trademark sunglasses on. God, I'm an idiot.
That's right. That's my spiffy co-host, Will Van Antwerp. Last week, we brought you the President's Draft, won by yours truly, though I did not record a video to celebrate and gloat, though we do have one for you. Will, would you do the honors?
Yeah, Matt, can we pull up my screen real quick? This is from earlier today at the Masters. I just wanted to make sure everyone that watches this show saw what I consider to be potentially the greatest shot in the history of golf. Are you serious?
Goddamn. Yeah, that's like...
He skipped it all the way across the water like it was a stone.
So I wish I hadn't seen this before when you sent it to me. Like, I wish that you could get my live reaction because I freaked out.
I mean, I was just sitting on Twitter and I just like, oh my God, has anybody seen this? So I sent it to you. And then I knew somebody else had seen it. All right, Matt, I think we can cut it.
All right.
All goes in the cupboard.
So, this week we have the horny movie characters draft. We'll be drafting football teams made up of movie characters that we consider to be very horny. And to do that, we have two very special guests. Will, would you like to do the introductions?
Yeah. Please help us welcome Danielle Andruskowitz and Reed Haley Rutherford.
Welcome to the show.
Thanks for having us.
Stop.
All right, so Reed, this was your idea. You came to us with this suggestion. I thought it was fantastic. I know we went a little bit heavy last week with the President's Draft. I figured this was the perfect week to do this one. What made you suggest horny movie characters?
There's a lot of different angles you can take with horny movie characters. It can be, specific that they're horny for one person. They can just be generally horny. Some act on it, some don't. You can just kind of see it in their eyes. So there's a lot of different ways you can go with this, and so I'm excited to do it.
Awesome.
Now, Danielle, you didn't specifically request to do the draft. We kind of drafted you to draft.
Yeah.
What did you think when we said, "Hey, Danielle, you want to draft some horny movie characters with us?"
I think you thought, hey, here's a friend who lives alone in a basement during quarantine. They probably want to do this.
Listen, you're not that far off base.
Yeah. All right, Matt, if you could share my screen now. So we're going to do a draft. We're drafting a quarterback, a running back, a wide receiver, a tight end, a kicker, and a defense. Will, want to talk through your team name and coach?
Yeah, so keeping it pretty standard, no funny puns here, just a classic innuendo, a little bit of Morningwood team name. And as a coach, I think just the pinnacle, basically, of horny movie characters. Stifler's mom, because she was both the object of lust and also very lustful herself. I think she's going to bring a lot of experience, a lot of focus, and a lot of sensuality to the team. Too much sensuality is missing from today's coaching staffs in the NFL.
Thank you, Amy Claire Parker. I'm glad we could bring this draft to life. My team is the reverse Cowboys. Unlike Will, I was clever enough to come up with a pun. And my coach is Daniel Radcliffe from the movie Horns. I tried to take someone that wasn't actually horny. Then I read the plot to this movie and found out I didn't do that. I instead took a demon-possessed Daniel Radcliffe, who's willing to make everyone confess their deepest, darkest secrets. So nothing's getting by this coach, and I'm excited to throw a team behind him. Reed, your team.
Hard to follow up, but my team is Wet Hot American Dream, and it is coached by Paul Rudd's Andy from the movie. It's pretty much all you want in a horny character. He's a savant. I feel like he's both a goofball, but everyone, other counselors, campers, they all look up to him. He's kind of got his own swag and doesn't like care about how other people are looking at him. He's kind of like the Jim Harbaugh of horny camp counselors.
Solid pick. And Danielle?
Yeah, so my team name is Pull Your McFly Down, and the coach is Marty McFly's mom.
Oh,
Yeah, so like she
Wonderful
is like the epitome of a horny teenage girl. And what I really like about her as a coach is that, you know, after she tried to bone her son, she realized that something was wrong and like redirected. So when things weren't going well, she made the decision to change course and make a whole different game plan for who she was going to bone.
Nice. You like to see that versatility in a coach.
big shout
all right.
out to our producer Matt for finding that picture.
Yeah,
that's
great job.
probably the horniest picture.
All right, and now, without further ado, let us determine our draft order with a good old-fashioned 100-yard draft dash.
100-yard draft.
Let go. 100-yard draft takes a long time because we're very slow.
I love that we couldn't pick one picture from Wet Hot American Summer. All right, anyways. Danielle, here we go, Will. Time for a late comeback, Will. There we go. Let's go. Oh, Anthony, what did you have a steak and cheese before this dash?
Yeah, Jesus Christ. That is the slowest anyone's ever done this. Okay, all right. How did this even end up? I was too busy watching my slow ass go. Okay, Danielle, Reed, Will, and myself.
All right, our guests up first, and then last but not least. Oh, look at this! Oh, hey, dog.
So I'm first then. So I think, you know, I thought this might happen, and I have a lot of options, but I think I'm gonna go with Leonardo DiCaprio from Wolf of Wall Street at running back.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. You know, he's so committed to winning. He will not leave. He will not be taken down. And if there's one thing you want in a running back, it's that he's hopped up so high on coke he doesn't even know where he's going.
Man, now I wish Quaaludes were horny. I'd make him my defense.
That is my concern, right? I mean,
Yeah.
You want to talk about potential sluggishness. We're getting the uppers from cocaine, but the downs from Quaaludes could make them a little bit easier to bring down, don't you think? I'm not going anywhere.
Gordon Belfort is his name. Okay, Reed, you're up with pick number 2.
All right. I'm not going to overthink this. I'm going to go with the man who's been played by many, Mr. James Bond.
Great pick.
You know, it's a little bit of an obvious choice, but that's what you want in a quarterback. You know, like every once in a while, Russell Wilson's the cute pick, but in the end, you want your Patrick Mahomes. And that's James Bond. He spreads the ball all over the field. He's been at it for years. He might even pull a 2020 Tom Brady and bring some weapons with him. He's my pick.
If you had to name a starting James Bond, whose would you take?
I think it has to be Connery. You know, it's the way he carries himself is just out of this world. Special shout out though to Roger Moore, who seemed to be about 67 by the time he finished being Bond, and it was just gross. So in that level of horny, he'd be my pick.
Excellent.
Final question: with Bond as your quarterback, who are you rooting for to be the next Bond?
Ooh, that's a good question. I think Idris Elba would be very good. Not a Tom Hardy guy. Really not a Tom Hardy guy. But I trust the franchise.
Trust the process. Trust the franchise. Okay. All right. This is kind of interesting. I focused more on the comedy side of things. We got a couple of dramas, 1 and 2. But like Reed, I'm not going to overthink it. And I'm actually going to take who I think is pretty obviously a parody of Reed's pick. I'm going to take Austin Powers as my running back. Yeah, I know it might seem like a little bit of an odd pick, but if you think about Austin, he is nothing if not elusive. They're constantly throwing things at him. Shoes, women, and he's able to duck all of it. Never gets shot, not even once. And He's able to drive fembots absolutely insane. So if you guys were thinking of drafting the fembots as your defense, don't even think about it. They'll hump him to death.
And once he's got his mojo back, just look out.
We're drafting mojoed Austin Powers.
Mojo.
Remember Austin Powers. This is at the very least Spy Who Shagged Me. Austin Powers.
Great. Okay. My quarterback. I went with who I think is probably the horniest character of all time, though it's not an obvious pick. I might be getting too cute with this. For my quarterback, I'm going to draft The Mask.
Oh no!
Carries the
He was
mask.
on the list.
That's my kicker.
But your kicker? You were going to waste him on your kicker?
Yeah, because he kicks.
Yeah, so do so many other fucking things, dude. Actually, not true. Not true. Not a lot of things kick, which is why I'm going to take my kicker next. But still on The Mask, he does literally wolf whistle as a wolf in the movie. He is smoking. No one can stop him. He can transform into anything. I think he's a superhuman, and it's hard to find a very horny superhuman, I found. I think that was a must get for me on my board. And now I am actually going to take my kicker this early because I am so afraid it's going to get taken. This is a movie where I think everyone in the movie is extremely horny, but specifically Scott Pilgrim is. From Scott Pilgrim versus the World, he is going to be my kicker. He literally kicks someone and they explode into a bunch of coins. He gets billions of points, not just 3. I think I need to draft him because I have no other ideas for kicker.
Are we all on, like, is this the consensus that he's actually horny?
100%. Yeah, wait, you don't think Scott Pilgrim's horny?
I wouldn't define him as horny.
You wouldn't.
I think he's going through some identity issues.
Yeah, what do you think? He's like, okay, one could make the case that every single high school movie character belongs on this board.
This is fair.
I would agree with that, Anthony.
Thank you, Daniel. Okay, back to Will.
All right. Before we get back to my second round pick, let's do our favorite segment here. Can check. What's everybody drinking? Reed, you're holding something up.
Fat tire.
Short, sweet, to the point. Danielle, what do you got?
I just have water right now, but I had a scotch earlier.
Nice. Scotch to water shift. Very responsible. Anthony.
Bottle check. Rocking some head.
What is that? Chip head?
It's
Pumpkin head?
It's the same thing I've been drinking for the last 2 months because I can't finish them.
All right. Okay. And I'll round us out. I got a little, I'm finishing up the mix pack from Treehouse. So this is something I've never heard of before. It's pretty good. Okay. Let's get back to my board. Man, I wish I had put positions on these guys. This experiment's going poorly. I am going to take someone tall, dark, and handsome. That is going to be Matthew McConaughey from Dazed and Confused. He keeps getting older, but they stay the same age. That's exactly what you're looking for in a quarterback, a Tom Brady type. He stays at the level he's at. Yeah, you can throw in a rotating cast of position, skill players, and he just keeps delivering.
I like that. And that's a good justification for looping him back into football. Clearly very
Thank you very
horny.
much. Yeah, he's tall. He's a Texas boy. That's football country. And a big UT fan. Hook 'em horns.
All right, back to Reed.
All right, that was going to be my next pick. Nice pick.
Oh, yeah. We got our first big snipe of the draft.
Oh, what a consistent character. Okay, my next pick then is going to be, I'm going to go tight end early, and I'm going with Samwise Gamgee. That man is horny. He spends He's spending months on the road, just him and Master Frodo. But I like him for tight end because, he's kind of like a little simpish. He's not going to demand the ball. He'll kind of do whatever Master Frodo says. He'll block if you need him to block. He'll catch it in the event that he needs to catch. But he's kind of that good team player, and I know he's never going to have an off week. So Sam Gamgee.
Quick question: how tall is Sam Gamgee?
I don't know. He's got the body type, though. I mean, other than the height.
maybe proportionally he has the body type, but
we might have a chop block problem.
What if he's like 4'8", like 130?
I think he's played by the guy who played Rudy, right?
That's also a great point.
Yeah. So defensive ends are the tight ends of defense. So I'll give you that.
Thank you.
But yeah, I'm seeing he's 3'4". So that's a tight window to squeeze into. He's roughly half the height of the average NFL tight end. But
James Bond got some precision, so
that was an oversight.
That's right. All right, Danielle, on the turn here.
Oh, okay. I have a lot of options for QB, and you guys have not even grazed any of them. But I think I'm going to go with what is probably a sleeper pick, and I'm going to go with Dean, who is played by Paul Walker in She's All That. He is the rival to Freddie Prinze Jr. in that movie. And what I like about Dean is that he's very athletic, first of all. He's super horny in the fact that he got a hotel room for prom night, and he was willing to like lie and cheat just to win a bet. So that he's gonna lie and cheat and do whatever he needs to do at quarterback to win.
Big rip to Paul Walker. Also big rip to Sean Connery from earlier.
Yep.
And let's round it out. Big rip to Tommy Heinsohn, the man, the myth, the legend. Passed away today.
Mm-hmm. Ooh, okay. Okay. I think
all right, Danielle, pick someone horny.
I'm gonna go wide receiver, and I'm gonna take Army Hammer and Call Me by Your Name.
Ooh.
Because what you really want in a wide receiver is a veteran who's really going to teach the young guys how to find those holes, make your way to make yourself open to make all the catches.
Great mentor.
Yeah, I can't.
Great mentor.
I mean, I see no fault in that logic.
Let's move on.
Yeah, Reed, go ahead. Okay.
Wait, who's that with? Timothy Chalamet?
Yep.
Yeah. Did you guys hear that? Yeah, that he gave chlamydia to like 95% of the female population at NYU.
Was it through a nectar?
What?
Have you seen Call Me by Your Name?
I haven't seen Call Me by Your Name. I just follow Timothy Chalamet.
Well, that's unfortunate.
I'm sure that was a killer joke. Reed, go ahead.
All right, I'm also going wide receiver next. I'm going the Sultan in Waiting. I'm going with Jafar from Aladdin.
Whoa!
And the reason I'm going with Jafar is this man had 3 almighty wishes, literally 3. And he tried to use one to get one princess to sleep with him, essentially. It doesn't get much more than that. Additionally, like wide receivers, known as a diva position, let's be real, like Jafar's a little bit of a diva. He's got that whole, ooh, I need to be next kind of personality, as divas do. And yeah, so I'm going Jafar.
Oh man, I had Aladdin on my board for the same reason.
I'm with Reed. I think Jafar was much hornier than Aladdin. Aladdin was a little bit of a simp.
Simps can be horny, man. Just because they're not good at being horny.
Yeah, but it's a sadder horny.
It is. You're right.
Okay.
All right, well, pick someone fun horny.
Someone fun horny. How about I give you two horny, fun, horny people, and that is going to be Owen Wilson and Vince Vaughn from Wedding Crashers.
Okay, where are you taking them?
I'm going to take them as my starting wide receivers.
Oof.
That's right. We've got the two of them playing characters, John Beckwith and Jeremy Gray. I definitely had that research before just Googling it. And I mean, basically the whole outline of the movie is the fact that these are two insanely horny guys who base their life around being horny and finding ways to be more horny. I mean, yeah, one does end up falling in love, but that's, kind of incidental.
Don't they both end up falling in love?
They do. And honestly, I don't want to spoil any of your guys' future picks, but Isla Fisher in Wedding Crashers was also on my horny draft board because
They were. That whole cast was on my draft.
Yeah, you could have taken them as a defense because Todd was horny and the mom was Kitty Cat was horny. I mean, everybody wanted to do everybody in that movie, and that's what made it a great film. But anyways, there's a football scene in the movie. You could see how athletic they are. Vince Vaughn is like 6'5". You got a little thunder and lightning between the two of them, and obviously a great chemistry. So,
which one's the alpha?
I think that you got to look at Owen as the alpha. What do you guys? What do you guys think?
Guy.
Owen's not the alpha.
Yeah.
That's just a dumb statement.
Okay.
Yeah, I guess I've seen when when he's like really down in the dumps after getting and he's like all slovenly and broken up about it. That's not a very alpha move. I guess you're right. Owen's the slot receiver, and Jeremy is Vince Vaughn's the X.
That's right. I think I'd agree with that.
All right, cool.
All right, so I'm also going to take a wide receiver here, and I am going to take the asset from Shape of Water.
What?
Will, have you seen Shape of Water?
I've seen Water.
All right, so have any of you seen Shape of Water? Very successful movie. I feel like I shouldn't have to be defending this.
She fucks the water.
Yeah. No, it's this guy. It's this guy right here. He's got webbed hands. He can corral anything.
That's
right?
Sapien.
He can also. It's basically the creature from the Black Lagoon. He's got healing powers. He's got webbed hands. Nothing's gonna drop. I think he's just a clear, easy wide receiver pick. I did have to make sure that he could survive in air, which he does in the movie.
That's going to be my next question.
Yep. But hey, rain games, look out, because he's an element.
What's his 40 time like?
Swimming or running?
Running.
Slower. I did not see any clips of him sprinting, so I'm just gonna trust that. I'm just gonna trust hands. Okay, I'm just gonna trust the talent here. Okay, so now I'm back on the board. I'm curious if I'm gonna have to defend this pick, but I'm gonna go with my defense. And my defense are the Minions.
Defend it.
So they are so insanely horny, they can't even speak straight. And they're always after that banana. What do you think banana really is, Will?
I guess I hadn't really thought of it.
Yeah, you're right. You haven't, you didn't, and that's why I got Minions as my defense.
Aren't they really little? Can't I mean they're gonna be way smaller than everyone except Reed's tight end?
Yeah, okay, so I'm gonna have one of them man-to-man on Samwise, and then I have like a billion of them covering the rest of the team. I think I'm set.
I like it.
Oh boy. Okay.
We have a comment from Rachel Anneman saying that she doesn't believe that Minions fuck. I think that accentuates the horniness.
It's like my dog.
I'm not going to ask. Well, your pick.
Okay. Oh boy. All right. I need a tight end, a kicker, and a defense. So let's round out the skill position players, and I'll take a tight end right now. And that tight end is going to be shit. I lost him.
Imagine Goodell doing this.
Yeah. Oh my god. Okay.
The 14th pick of the NFL draft. Hold on.
I am going to take Christian Grey from 50 Shades of Grey. A notoriously horny man. No, it's not a funny movie unless you go in a couple of glasses of wine deep and with a good attitude. But in intensely good physical shape, a man at the top of his profession, and a man that knows exactly what he wants and is able to execute it. So when you think about all that a tight end needs to do between blocking, catching passes, taking a beating from the defense, I mean, here's what I got to say. Good luck to your billion fuckless minions. As they try to take on Christian Grey and running an out route.
Could there be like two more different kind of horny characters on your team than Wooderson from Dazed and Confused and Christian Grey?
That's what I love about this draft. It's all in the eye of the beholder.
Totally. All right, for my fourth pick, I'm gonna go kicker. This guy, he's a drummer, which I mean, you need a foot if you have a drum set. He's probably not emotionally ready to be with the rest of the team, but he's a kicker, and that's Garth from Wayne's World.
He was on the board. He was on my board. That's a great pick.
Thank you. You're getting like some good work ethic. He has a TV show and he's a musician. He's no doubt talented and he's no doubt horny. So that's my pick.
He was admittedly horny for Lola Bunny.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's a good pick.
He's a babe.
All right, Danielle, on the turn here.
All right, so I need a tight end, a kicker, and a defense.
Correct.
All right, so I'm going to go tight end, and I'm debating between two, and I don't think either is on any of your boards. So I'm just going to talk it out.
Well, if you don't think any of them are on our boards, maybe take a defense, but
no, I don't think either of these characters are on your boards. So maybe thinking about Jason Biggs from the movie Boys and Girls, which have any of you seen that?
Yeah.
Yes, thank you, Reed.
I was thinking American Pie. I even have the scene queued up.
No, I'm thinking about Jason Biggs from Boys and Girls, or I'm debating between Sarah Michelle Gellar from Cruel Intentions.
Ooh.
Right? Because when you're thinking about a tight end, and I'm thinking about both of these characters, I mean, they wear a lot of hats. So in Boys and Girls, you have Jason Biggs who lies about his name and like tries to take on all these different personas while he's basically just out trying to fuck but can't. And that's what you think about with a tight end, right? Like they want to be like a number one wide receiver, but they're just not. And then when it comes to Sarah Michelle Gellar from Cruel Intentions, like same thing. Like she wears a lot of hats. She's good at blocking people from having sex. She's good at going to get sex close to home when she sleeps with her stepbrother. She's good at going to get the sex out there if you need to switch into a wide receiver role. So I'm really kind of torn between these two for tight end. But I think ultimately I'm gonna have to go with Sarah Michelle Gellar from Cruel Intentions as my tight end now that I've talked this out, because I just think that she's more versatile, and unlike Jason Biggs' character from Boys and Girls, I think a big part of being a tight end is being able to block, and nobody blocks better than Sarah Michelle Gellar in Cruel Intentions.
You definitely got more amped up when describing Sarah Michelle Gellar and justifying her, so I think you made the right pick.
Yeah.
Follow your passion. In the chat, also supporting Sarah Michelle Gellar. Comments. SMG.
I had her brother-in-law on the list.
Her
Freddie
stepbrother.
Prinze Jr.
No, in the movie.
Her stepbrother. Okay, I think I'm gonna save my kicker for last. And I'm gonna go defense, and I'm gonna take the fraternity from the movie Neighbors, starring Zac Efron.
That's good.
Yeah.
Because I mean, like, they're obviously a bunch of horny frat boys. They even made they made models of their dicks in that movie and sold them. And like, nothing says I'm gonna cock block you like giving somebody a cock that's not mine.
Great point. Great point. I didn't even think of the fact that for your defense, you might want them to be good at cock blocking your horny offense.
Yeah.
Now, was Seth Rogen married to Rose Byrne in that movie?
He was, yeah.
I think of all the unlikely women that Seth Rogen has been paired with in his movie tenure, that is the least believable to me. Yeah, she should have left him for Zac Efron.
Second that.
All right, Reed.
All right. I'm debating between a couple, but all right. I think I'm going running back in my 5th round. And I'm going with Elizabeth Perkins' Susan from the movie Big. And if you remember, long story short, Susan fucks a man-child in that movie. And I think she'd be a good running back because, well, A, just strong resume right there. But B, Tom Hanks is chasing her around all movie. And C, she's elusive. Like, who is going to suspect someone preying on a boy when that boy looks like a man? So Susan from Big is my running back.
I think it's a good call. She really shows her endurance in that movie.
She sure does.
That's a good pick.
Thank
She
you.
had her eyes on the prize and she went for it and she got it. And it didn't matter that it was a 12-year-old boy. I mean, who are making movies in the 80s?
Yeah.
We've gone through multiple movies where the plot involved fucking your son or fucking a 12-year-old. And all these were major films.
Seriously, like, people remember that movie for like the grandpa and the kid dancing on a piano. Like,
Yeah.
no.
That's like 2% of a movie that's 98% him trying to avoid having sex with an older woman. Okay. All right. Back to me.
Well, just the specialty positions left.
So kicker got sniped from me very early. So with that in mind, I am going to have to pick one on the fly. Matt, can you cut over to my screen as I take a kicker that reminds me most of this year's hottest new kicker, Rodrigo Blankenship.
That's really good. Shit. That's funny.
The similar goggled look that to me symbolizes exactly what you need to be young and successful as a kicker in this league. This is Seth Green's trademark look throughout this movie, where there's no debate, intensely horny. Most of the movie takes place with him locked in the bathroom because he went to get a condom. He couldn't believe someone wanted to have sex with him, so he had to go to the bathroom first. And he's just got a strong kicker energy about him. What is he, like 5'5", 145 pounds? That's my ideal kicker build.
Yeah. Yeah, wow. Dude, you know what? I think I saved you by sniping the mask from you. That's a really good pick.
That was my backup kicker.
Oh. Can't wait to see.
I have 2 kickers on my board. That was my backup kicker. And I still have a kicker left to choose.
Well, wasn't that good for you?
Garth has very scary vibes, to be honest, with the glasses and the height.
True. All right. Let's see. What do I have left? I have tight end and running back left. Oh my god, I didn't take a running back. Okay. Tight end. I'm gonna go with Fat Amy from Pitch Perfect.
That's good, man.
Thank you. I think she admits she has a bit of a cardio issue, but she is Australian. She's got the size. I think she's gonna bring a different element to this team. I think she's probably the most athletic person on my roster so far.
Between her and the mask, for sure.
Yeah. Oh my God, if she puts on the mask, fucking look out.
Well, yeah, I guess that's a question. Is the mask now a tool that can be
Transferable? Yeah.
I think
Dude, oh my God. How many minions can fit inside the mask?
Hold on, we've got a couple comments. One, Young Ho Chu. That's a good horny name, but we're not drafting real NFL players. And why is the guy with the mustache so creepy? Any response, Reed?
I got nothing.
Okay.
Good. All right.
Oh, I'm so torn right here.
Natalie Imbruglia.
Yes, exactly. I am going, you know what? I've been getting cute this whole draft. I might as well just stick with it. For my running back, I'm going to take Scrat from Ice Age.
Who?
Scrat from the movie Ice Age.
I don't know that Scrat is horny.
It's horny for the nut.
Horniness here, Anthony.
He is 100% horny for the nut. He admittedly has a bit of a fumbling issue. But he is very quick, very elusive. And you know what? As long as he's got Fat Amy out there lead blocking, I think Scrut can take it to the house.
I mean, a little bit of a fumbling issue. He's like Tiki Barber. The only thing he's known for.
Well, you know what? Put him in the mask and we'll see what happens.
Okay. Yeah. Put the squirrel in a mask. I think the squirrel would just explode. All right. Defense time. I think we got a couple of good options, but we can talk about them after the draft. I'm going to go with the number one defense on my board that I just decided, and that is going to be the cast of the Best Buy knockoff from 40-Year-Old Virgin. That is the horniest workplace I think I've ever seen. At one point, they were playing actual pornography on all of the TVs across the electronics store. And you know what? Fuck it. On the fly, I'm throwing in Catherine Keener because she really wanted it by the end of those 20 dates that were referred to. She can be a free safety or something. But overall, there is an intense sexual energy starting at the top with Jane Lynch that matriculated throughout that entire workplace. And I want all of them lining up across the field on my defense.
I think that's a solid pick, Will.
Thank you.
All right. With defense, I'm going with a movie actually I've never seen before, or a series I've never seen before.
Whoa.
But every time I walk by the poster of any of these movies, I'm like, wow, those young adults want to rip each other's clothes off. And that is the Twilight Saga.
You said it. I was like, you're going Twilight.
Bunch of vampires and werewolves running around on defense. Good luck, guys. Good luck.
That's good. That's good. I appreciate that pick. That's good.
All right. So my final pick is a kicker, and I'm gonna go with Catherine Hahn from Step Brothers.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
So the thing about Catherine Hahn from Step Brothers is she gives the illusion to her family that she's not super horny or that she might not be good at sex, but she can fuck anywhere, which is how I know she'll always put it between the goalposts. And in that movie, she peed in a urinal while standing up, which just shows the flexibility of her leg to get up there, which is how I know that she's going to have a lot of pop behind that kick.
You know what? I buy the justification. That's good. I mean, definitely 100% horny. I believe she says she wants to roll John C. Reilly up into a little ball and shove her in her vagina.
Matt, come over to my screen real quick.
Yeah.
We got that scene up.
There it is.
It's so much. I hate my life, damn.
Oh, yeah, well, now thanks, Sad. Sorry.
Yeah.
I got it back.
Went straight back to sad horny.
I tried to do it on the fly, and I went to mostly. It was horny at first, but then it got sad, which I guess that happens a lot.
Represents every kicker.
Yeah.
So that's a great pick.
All right, beautiful. So we wrapped it up. Danielle, would you mind going through your team here and give us a quick little recap?
Yeah. So I have at running back, I have DiCaprio from Wolf of Wall Street, because you always want a coked up running back to run through everything. At QB, I have Dean, played by Paul Walker, and She's All That, because he's good at winning. Best. Wide receiver, Army Hammer from Call Me By Your Name. Really good at coaching those young guys, helping them work their way up to find those holes and make those catches. At tight end, Sarah Michelle Gellar, Cruel Intentions. Obvious pick for many reasons. Defense, I have the fraternity from Neighbors. Again, they're handing out their own cocks, cock blocking, gonna cock block the teams. And then Catherine Hahn at kicker, super horny, often overlooked by the rest of her team, in this case her family, and has really shown the flexibility and power in her leg by being able to pee in a urinal while standing up.
Great job. Pulling McFly down, a force to be reckoned with. Reed.
All right, at quarterback, I have James Bond. He can spread it all over the field. He has a lot of weapons, and he's going to get you some points. At tight end, I picked Sam Gamgee. He's, on second thought, he's a little short. But you can't deny he's horny.
He's got heart.
At wide receiver, I have Jafar, who is just exudes just this, that rich, kind of that Epstein-esque horniness, like where it's got power more than anything, but horny nonetheless. At kicker, I have Garth, who, he just can't help himself. At running back, I have Susan, who is very elusive as she's constantly chasing men with boys' souls. And my defense,
also Epstein-esque, I might add.
Yeah.
Can't deny that. And defense, I got those young horny werewolves. What are they? Are they werewolves?
They're vampires and werewolves.
Vampires and werewolves. That's right. All right. There are no centaurs in Twilight. They're getting me horny.
All right. Our bosses at 2MB Studios are telling us to stop saying Epstein-esque. I have to think this is a dividing line for me and my creative freedom. I just have the right to be able to say Epstein-esque as much as I like.
Yeah, especially if it's not my team. All right, so my team is the Reverse Cowboys. Quarterback, I have the Mask. I think just insanely powerful, insanely horny, and especially now that we've decided that we can transfer the Mask around, I think there's, you got to look out. My kicker is Scott Pilgrim, who I'm sure I can find a thumbnail of him kicking something. My wide receiver is the creature from Shape of Water with his webbed hands. I think he can catch anything. My defense is the Minions, who I believe are very horny. My tight end is Fat Amy, who's hooking up with Adam Devine in Pitch Perfect. She's extremely horny and probably my best athlete. And my running back is Scrat. I know fumbling issues, but you know what? I just have to trust the speed and the talent here and hand the ball.
The ball is 3 times the size of him. Okay, so let's move over to Morningwood, coached by Stifler's mom, a classic. And let's get it going. Austin Powers, a running back. Elusive, extremely randy. Does he make you randy? Yes, he does. Quarterback, Matthew McConaughey from Dazed and Confused. Good build. His wide receivers stay the same age as he gets older, or something like that.
It made more sense the first time.
I did a lot better job.
I'm not sure it does anymore.
At wide receivers, we have the brothers Owen Wilson and Vince Vaughn from Wedding Crashers. Really athletic, good chemistry, and obviously that pinnacle football scene, proves their athleticism. Tight end, Christian Gray, the most serious man on the roster, a man at the top of his field who knows exactly what he wants, and that's to catch passes, but also block sometimes. A kicker, Seth Green, really just going for that Rodrigo Blankenship, Martin Gramatica look, and he's got the ideal body type for it, and that is basically the only justification I have there. And finally, a defense, basically the entire cast of the 4-year-old version. That movie is an ode to Judd Apatow's horniness, his unrepentant need to have his wife be in his movies and the object of someone's lust. And that's it. That's Morning Wood.
Awesome. So I will post these on a Twitter poll and have the audience select who they think has the best horny movie character football team. Reed, Danielle, was there anyone still on your board that you wish you could find a way onto your team? Anyone you couldn't draft but wish you could have?
Yeah. So I still had Dane Cook from Good Luck Chuck on my board. And what I like about Good Luck Chuck is he starts off as kind of a douchey guy, but eventually is like the good guy, like willing to fuck anybody just so they end up on top. And that's just a real team player, you know? And so that's the type of guy that I wish I had a space for, but I just don't.
Mm-hmm. I like that.
Yeah, I had someone who gives big kicker vibes off to me is Cameron from Ferris Bueller's Day Off.
Yep.
Yeah. You don't want him to mingle with the rest of the team per se. I also one that I lost in the first round. I just had 90s Jim Carrey characters, but in Dumb and Dumber he goes across country in pursuit of a woman. He basically gets out of the Truman Show because a hot girl kind of gives him a hint that he's in this made up world. Liar, liar.
Well, liar, yep.
Can't even lie about ogling women. So yeah, I thought that was a decent defense.
Yeah, I didn't realize he was so typecast as just horny man.
The Mask is the biggest horn job though.
I mean, he was typecast as horny man with a specific profession.
Totally.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Horny lawyer.
Horny lawyer. Yeah.
Horny pet detective.
Yeah.
Horny cable guy.
That's also an Apatow movie. Did you know that?
Yeah, it's
Cable guy is?
Yeah. They're taking it hard and for the better.
Did not know that.
All right. I had a few people still on the board. I wasn't sure where to slot them in. I wasn't sure if I could justify their horniness. For instance, Wally, I think, is very horny. I think I don't know. Would you have fought me if I drafted the Water Boy?
I don't think so.
Doesn't he need urging to do it?
Yeah, I don't
Well,
think
because he was extremely repressed growing up.
I mean, I had Rob Schneider from The Waterboy on my.
Absolutely.
Oh yeah, you can do it.
You can do it.
You can do it.
I had him. I also had Kate McKinnon on my board too from The Spy Who Dumped Me. I just didn't know where I would put her. Didn't know where she really fit.
I had Lord Farquaad as well, but he would suck at everything. So, Jabba the Hutt and Big Dick Richie from Magic Mike.
Mm-hmm.
Will anyone you couldn't draft?
Yeah, there's a bunch. If you guys will indulge me, we have a few minutes. Namely, Meryl Streep from It's Complicated.
Ooh, that's good.
Glenn Guglia from The Wedding Singer.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, everyone from There's Something About Mary. Juliette Lewis and the rest of the guys from Her Orgy from Old School.
That would have been an excellent defense.
Yeah.
It was honestly between them and 40-Year-Old Virgin for me. I'm already second guessing myself.
They ended a marriage. That's a good choice.
I personally am kind of shocked that we didn't take anyone from American Pie. Just my coach, I know, but
I had several Sean William Scott options from a few different movies, but opted not to take any of them.
Super bad as well. No super bad.
Right.
We also
Yeah.
didn't take anyone from Wet Hot American Summer, which was originally going to be my defense. But then I had changed my defense to the cast of 40-Year-Old Virgin, which, but then I couldn't decide between that or if I wanted to do Neighbors. So I went with Neighbors because I figured none of you had that.
That's right.
You're right. You're very nice to Will.
Yeah, thank you. Although then I just would have gone for Julia Lewis, who might have been an even better pick.
Yeah.
Luis Guzman from Waiting, just showing his nutsack everywhere. Hilarious.
No, that's all in sport. That's not horny.
Yeah, I know. That ultimately took him and put him lower on my board. And then finally, one of the most epic horny scenes of all time, Judge Reinhold from Fast Times at Ridgemont High. Getting caught in the act. I thought about him for tight end, but he's had some rough later years that made me question whether or not he would be cut for the NFL. All right. Well, as always, these teams will be posted at the 2MB Twitter account. You can vote on your favorite one. Thank you so much to Reed and Danielle for joining us today. Any last words, Reed or Danielle?
Thanks for having us.
Nope.
Guys.
This has been Boy Detectives Presents. Do follow and subscribe to 2MB Studios. We have shows all the time. We have 2 new shows coming up for this month. We have a show called Tawanda Draws on 7 p.m. on Wednesdays, which is a comedian named Tawanda Gona, who's fantastic. I highly recommend you follow him on Twitter too. He shows you how he makes his webcomics. And then Wednesdays at 8 p.m. on 2MB Studios is the new season of Mind Over Manor. So check that out. Also, stay tuned right now for Interesting Points at 9 p.m. Will, any closing remarks?
No, you just took the things I was going to say.
All right, sweet. Well, this has been Boy Detectives Presents. Look for the teams posted on Twitter, and I wish we had a catchphrase.
Show, the best show in this apartment. We got a lot for you, so let's just get right to it. Let's welcome to the stage my roommate, Nate Lopez. Yeah. Coming on. Yeah. Awesome. First question. What the is wrong with you? Nate Lopez!
Hello and welcome to Quarantine Tonight, the actual best talk show in this apartment. Well, we got a big show today, so let's get right to it. Please join me in welcoming my first guest, my roommate, Mr. Robert Bacon. So, we can do this again?
Hello out there, everybody. Welcome to Interesting Points. I'm Josh Poria. This is my show. Basically, I came up with the show about 7 years ago. It's kind of based off a British panel. I think I just watched somebody die in that commercial. I'm not sure, but it was pretty funny. So anyways, it's a show that I came up with about 7 years ago. Basically, it was a British panel shows that I loved. I just like to talk to people, find out what makes them interesting, find out what makes them just kind of find out what makes them tick. So we're going to do that right now. Let me bring on my first guest. I've got 4 guests for you today. First guest would be Isabella O'Connell. How you doing, Isabella?
Hey, I'm good, Josh. How are you?
Good. Long time no see.
I know, right? It's good to see you again in the virtual lights.
And next we got Rashid Towns. How you doing, Rashid?
Hey, what's going on?
How's it going? Next up, we've got John Serpico. How's it going, Serp?
Oh, very good. Hi, everybody.
And last but not least, David Thomas.
Hello. Here we are. Yes. Show that face.
So it's quite the face to come into with David.
I know, we got the full on.
It's Interesting Points.
Hey, handsome man.
That face is the equivalent of crashing through a window and being like, I'm here.
Right.
Very, very Kool-Aid guy effect.
Yeah, that was great. Oh, yeah. I figured today we talk about just kind of banter a little bit about funny people. Now, when I talk about funny people, it could be anybody. The first thing that came to my mind when I thought of funny people was the fact there's this woman who walks down my street who talks to herself all the time. And that's not really funny, but the funny part that happened was when I realized that when I was sitting there going in my car and I'm watching her walk down the street, I'm like, wow, she's crazy. She's always talking to herself with nobody around. He said to himself out loud. And then I realized that I was probably just as crazy as she was.
Right. I'm the only sane one here.
Was she listening to music or something? You gotta be careful. Like there's one day I was listening to Talking Heads and I was just belting it out like super loud.
Oh yeah.
And then,
that's a quick way to.
The other awesome person we have in our neighborhood. My neighborhood is actually this like 25-year-old kid who walks around with his with a boombox in his backpack, just playing 80s metal.
Nice.
He's walking around to Dokken and freaking Winger. I'm like, what the fuck?
He's like a missionary. He's on some kind of pilgrimage to where do you think he's going?
I don't know. I honestly don't know. I haven't stopped him yet because I'm afraid of him.
I think his mission is to bring rock back.
Yes.
I think
this is a lesson to all of us that if you're listening to music and you're singing along, turn that crap all the way up to 11. Don't just sing under your breath or people will think you're crazy.
Right.
Be rocking out to Mastodon at full volume.
Right. Because then we have
there's a purpose behind.
Right.
John, so I started doing that because at the gym, I was that guy who'd be like, can you guys hear this? Because I couldn't remember if is this the gym? This is my music. And then eventually I'd do this. I just blasted. I was like, forget it. I'm just going to come full blast.
So, Isabella, what about you? What do you think about funny people? Funny people.
I've never met a funny person in my life. No. I love those, in terms of, friendly neighbors, as I call them, folks that you meet in the neighborhood. I mean, when I was working in Central Square, plenty, but now I'm working in Harvard, so it's really all turkeys. It's about the amount of turkeys that I see in a day. They're the funny people in my life. They're more human than humans I know now.
I remember back in the good old days, Harvard Square used to be a great place to hang out, but now it's all for turkeys, huh?
Yeah, no, if you try to go to the pit now, turkey's going to make fun of your piercing. No, they really do turn to face you in a way like a substitute teacher.
There's a turkey with Bad Brains t-shirt judging you.
For real. They'll literally get on their way to the Middle East, heading right out of Harvard Square, acting like they're not here for college.
There's a couple of turkeys with shaved heads and red laces that you avoid like the plague.
Yo, that's what I'm saying, though. They all have shaved heads. They look like freaks. They all look like they have crazy body mod to begin with.
They're rolling their own cigarettes and just judging every step you take.
Seriously, they like sprinkle in something that they pick off the bushes of the neighbors.
You're gonna couple up on Pan playing Magic the Gathering.
I'm telling you.
I left Boston a year ago. It sounds like it's changed a lot.
You were the dividing line between us and chaos. So now that you're not here,
holding the
nature
turkeys
is
back.
winning and taking Cambridge back.
So, Rashid, what about you?
It's like now because I'm a dad of the pandemic, and all I talk to are like little kids. Like so like as you know, Josh, from your kids, they're fun. Like, hey, Dad. So this guy, like, he thought it was like Dog Man, but it wasn't Dog Man. And then they walk away. I'm like, what? I need more information for that joke.
Yeah, my daughter's favorite joke right now is knock knock.
Who's there?
Who's there?
Interrupting cow.
Interrupting cow. Who?
Moo. She's got no timing yet. I mean, she's working on the timing.
Right.
I think I went through that though. Like I remember when I first heard that joke, like I think I did the same thing. Like I didn't get what was funny about it, but I faked it. Yeah, no, that's a disease that others have as well, but that joke.
So what really bothers me is non-jokes. Like anti-jokes become the first jokes that kids learn.
Yeah.
Like, why did the chicken cross the road to get to the other side? That's a non-joke. That makes fun of a setup punchline format. And literally every kid in the world learns that freaking non-joke.
Yeah.
And we wonder why Isabella has never met another funny person. We're drilling this horrible propaganda of unfunniness into kids' heads.
The only premise I know is parody. It's an upside down world. I'm like Stranger Things kid.
Yeah, I've been watching. I try to introduce him to like funny stuff. Like I've been watching, Duck Amuck, like the classic Bugs Bunny cartoon, or I try to watch like the new DuckTales because it's got all this kind of humor. But it goes over the head. For them, it's non-jokes. It's physical humor. Hey, look, Dad like tripped on Lego. And he's like crying right now and dialing 911. Isn't this hilarious?
911 is hilarious.
Yeah.
Someone's like, hey, 911 is a joke.
You really got to find the kids shows with like mean main characters because like I'm a nanny now. I became a nanny during the pandemic. I worked at daycares and preschool before that. And when you can find a really mean, cruel, harsh but mostly adorable main character like on like a show for like 3-year-olds, the best. I found this show called Trotro. It's French, but you can watch it in English. And it's just like it's just like boring kid stuff, like animals like talking to each other and blah blah blah. They're kids, but like they'll kind of roast each other and they kind of like make these little digs where you're like, this is a 4-year-old I want to be with. And that's what 4-year-olds are really like too. So adds up.
The classic is Caillou.
Caillou. Oh,
he's the worst. I want to get political out here, but Caillou's a fascist. But
he's anti-culture, man.
What?
With his he doesn't have hair because he doesn't want to express himself. He just wants to, cry about outgrowing his shirts.
Yeah, at least Charlie Brown was going through something. You know what I mean? Like Lucy kept taking the football away.
You can point to something for Charlie Brown.
I'm definitely not spelling Caillou right because I found these bags for women.
Oh, maybe that's what he went into.
I don't know about you guys, but these bags are hilarious.
They're fascists. Those bags are fascist.
Yeah, you might want to throw out your fascist phone now.
I know.
After looking at that image.
Right? Get a Google phone.
But so kids cartoon characters, some of them are dicks. So I mean my daughter actually watches Ever After High. She's already in like 16-year-old shows.
Wow.
So it's crazy. Like the stuff she's watching, I'm like, wow, I actually can get into this. This is kind of cool.
I really feel like teenager culture is for like 8-year-olds now. Like that's who cares about the senior prom. like 9-year-olds.
I think you're right.
Seniors are like, I'm in rehab.
Yeah, because I remember I used to watch Saved by the Bell, but before I was in high school. So I think you're right. There's something to that.
No, me too. I watched Saved by the Bell before I was in high school too.
And now
it's a show for people who haven't
high
been
school,
there
but,
yet.
Yeah.
You want to imagine that's what it's like.
Yeah,
absolutely.
I watched it when I was 23.
I think the movie Grease is a great supplementary material to like make you think that high schools have diners attached to them. That's part of the setup for me.
So Serpico, what do you think?
So in the in keeping with my tradition, every time I'm a guest on Interesting Points, I over-researched the topic and came up with like a treatise statement on what fun is. But what I'm going to do is I'll kind of cut it way down to say that, there's obviously, as we've discussed, there's humor everywhere. There's something to laugh about kind of no matter where you look for various reasons. But for me, my favorite thing in the world is people who are funny for a really long length of time and on purpose, because that's the hardest thing to do, and so that's what I gravitate towards as like a fan. Is there are, like they always say, like every author has like one great novel in them. I also think that every comic has one great album, one great, or even like one really good solid 10 minutes. But what blows my mind is when people are considered funny for like decades, because just that's batting 300 a year for 40 seasons in baseball.
Cal Ripken.
Yeah, so it's like that Cal Ripken-esque quality of like longevity plus relevance.
Yeah,
and for the list that I like laid out a list of essentially like my comedy idols and inspirations, and they all have that in common. Joan Rivers, Steve Martin, Elaine Stritch, Catherine O'Hara, Eugene Levy, Martin Short, Madeline Kahn, and Kenan Thompson. All of those folks are A-level players and have been for 20 or more years. Like you look at the level of look, Kenan Thompson's the most recent example on that list. Like he's been doing this stuff since he was a teenager, and now he's like 40. And at any given point, people in people in the comedy zeitgeist are like, yeah, Kenan Thompson's hilarious. People have been saying that for literally like since like Bill Clinton was president. That's pretty wild. So how does this tie into what we're saying now about children's TV? The comedy theory behind the show Animaniacs very much speaks to that classic like golden age and silver age of Hollywood vaudeville, like post vaudevillian, like Joan Rivers, Steve Martin, Elaine Stritch kind of comedy. And that's why I, growing up, felt like Steve Martin and like Yakko, Wacko, and Dot were speaking the same language to me. And for that reason, I think Animaniacs is a great show for like young kids because there's music and it's fun and like you can kind of learn some stuff. But also, Yakko, Wacko, and Dot are vicious and they go on revenge road trips to take down people that have wronged them. So there we all are.
Dude, I was watching the old version with my kids and I was like, oh, this is gonna. They have questions.
Yeah. We're gonna learn all this stuff anyway.
I remember watching Animaniacs as a kid, admittedly, as a young kid, and like pondering the references. Because like I think like it might have been like Prince, maybe. That was like the first time I heard of him. Like there were some like really significant like moments and celebrities that I learned of from that show, but not because like I hadn't encountered them, just because I was like super young and they were just covering this, like you're saying, this breadth of kind of like art history.
With the Bugs Bunny stuff from back in the day, we're like, oh, they got Humphrey Bogart and all this. Like, I'm totally feeling you, Isabel. That's totally right.
You're learning these tropes about comedy, these tropes about theater and Hollywood and all of that stuff. And like as you grow old, like as you like grow out of cartoons, which I've heard some people do, I have not done that. But like, it's almost like you kind of hit the mainstream media and you're like, oh wait, I understand all of this. I know what a talk show should be.
Right.
Because I've seen it on Animaniacs. You know, like that kind of thing is really awesome.
Yeah. I feel like I learned a lot from Animaniacs and Calvin and Hobbes. Really,
Yeah.
I feel like maybe I just didn't know words either, but that's my addendum to Serpico's very well thought out thing.
Okay. I'm sorry. I got a message to mute, so I don't know. I can't really follow up for that.
Yep.
I guess we're getting a lot of feedback from somebody. Can we run a mute test on everybody just to see where the sound's coming from?
Okay.
Anybody? John? No.
My sound is on right now for what it's worth.
Okay.
I muted it before, and it did get quieter on that time.
Okay.
This is the segment of the show where we all mute.
Let's see. Hold on. Maybe it is. Is it? Okay. It's gone.
We want you all to just be alone with your thoughts for a second.
Yeah.
Yes, Take a breath, everybody.
Ponder what we've said.
Right. And I can follow. Oh, sorry, Josh. Go ahead.
Okay, no, go ahead. No, go ahead. You go right ahead.
See, now I'll do what I do every interesting point, which is follow up Serpico's very well informed and researched thing with just here's something I heard once. And it's my favorite anecdote ever. And I see him now. He a friend of mine from Virginia, and we hang out every so often. And every time I see him, I'm like, I have to tell you the story of that thing you said once because I still think it's the funniest thing I've ever heard. But a few years ago, he used to live in New York, and I went there and we were hanging out. We went to this barcade, and we're walking around, and like obviously a bunch of different games. And he points at a trash can, and he's like, "What game is that?" And that's the most hilarious thing I've ever heard in my life. I don't know why, but he just pointed at like it's a trash can. He's like, I know. And then a security guard was like, that's a trash can. He was like, I know. And that's the entire story. I don't know why it tickles me so much, but it just does.
When you're that age, you're just like built out of like primordial goo. Like you're so impressionable. Like
when you're like 28 when this happened.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. But the world is
a very impressionable age.
Yeah,
it's a world of possibilities. If you have a rolled up piece of paper, then a trash can is a game. It's a receiving end of basketball or whatever.
I think maybe what I enjoy about it too is it's become a bit where every time I talk to him, I have to tell him the story too. I'm just like, remember that time we were at the barcade and he was like, yes. And anytime I would introduce him to another friend, I'd be like, this is Andy. One time we were at a barcade and he did this. So to me, Andy's a very funny person, but to Andy, I'm probably his most annoying friend.
Could you tell at all where the shift happened? Like, when did he accept, yes, this is an object I'm familiar with? Did his eyes like change color, or did he just start saying, yeah, that's a trash can?
Well, no, because he was like, he was in on it. Like he was like, what game is that? Like being like, he knew it was a trash can, but he wanted me to not understand that it was a trash can. And he wanted and the security guard also seemed to be like, does he not know that that's a trash can?
So you're saying there were
like QAnon origins.
Yes, it is the most layered joke I've ever heard in my life. But like Bella, I don't know any funny people. So.
It sounds like a CIA plot. Your friend is a mastermind.
Probably.
The thing that I was thinking about, just like David, when you brought that up, is just that, like the influence that your friends, like, for, as a teenager or sometimes when you're 28, have over your sense of humor. Like,
yes,
the things that you collectively laugh at together with like your best friends, really imprint on you in a very, very specific way.
Right. I think it also tickles me because most of the time when somebody's like, I'm not funny, they're right. But he is like the one friend I have who insists that he's not funny, but he so is. I don't know what it is. He has a very Judd Apatow quality about him.
Okay.
And he's just so, I'm gonna text him right after the show ends. Be like, I talked about you for 10 minutes.
do any of you have like that one? You know, we because of the lives we've chosen for ourselves, we all know a bunch of funny people. But is there anyone in your respective lives that is not in like comedy, that doesn't do stand up or sketch or improv or anything, that you just keep thinking it's like, you know what, you should, you know, like the world is missing out because you personally are not doing comedy.
That's Andy for me. I've talked at length about him.
Yeah.
I got plenty. I feel like everyone I know that doesn't do comedy is hilarious. No, just kidding. But just playing. But no, my one of my friends that I grew up with is extremely hilarious, and he's really funny. And one thing he did that I'll forever remember as like the glowing magic orb of proof of his talents, like no matter how much he doesn't pursue the arts, one time he like someone did an accent impression and they were like, I'm a Saugus mom. And he was like, no, that's not Saugus, that's Wakefield. And he literally imitated like the accent from like 5 different like greater Boston North Shore towns, like the specific mom accent. And like he was like what he claimed to be identifying, like it seemed real. I was like, that is Peabody. Like and I always just remember like he notices things about people. I'm a little nervous around him because of that.
Well, I mean, the ability to observe, the ability to kind of create that story or that reality, like that's all comedy. Like that's all comedy muscles, you know.
Actually, there was a coworker of mine, Ryan, a friend of mine, Ryan, who literally he's not a comedian at all, but we had a conversation once where he out of the blue he's like, what is that you're not supposed to do to gremlins? What is that you're not supposed to do to Mogwai after midnight? Is it you're not supposed to feed him after midnight? So I was like. And I just responded back to him. I was like, dude, you don't feed him after fucking midnight. You're an idiot. And he goes, well, there goes my night.
Right.
It's like, this is the best conversation I've ever had with anybody.
Yeah. It's like not know that many people where it's like you should do comedy, but there are so many people we know like I know somebody who like I wish I talked like he did. Like the way he enunciates things is funny. And like I feel like an example that comes to mind, like in it, you know, An Idiot Abroad, Carl Pilkington, like the way he observes things and the way he talks about them. It's like, God, like if I could just salvage all these different things about these people and combine it with my own horrible personality, I would be the greatest comedian ever.
Yeah.
You know,
it's like Jack Whitehall's dad. On Travels with My Father.
Oh God!
Awesome. I think certain people like they're so not like self-analyzing or self-reflecting that they just go with the flow in a beautiful way. And like the pureness of their expression is just on point. Like
that's Pilkington too. Pilkington is just pure.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
There's something like, this the way this uncle tells us one story is just hilarious. So the way this friend like roasts people from high school. Like he wouldn't do it on stage, but oh man, it's just amazing when he does it like in front of us. You know what I mean? You're like, I wish I could just do that. You know, but
it's like that one like it's a person that's not a cook, but they can definitely make mashed potatoes. You know, like they don't have that full game where like they're like a prince in the kitchen, but it's like they got their one dish, or it's like they got their one story, their one thing they do. Where like if everyone's like standing in a circle at like Thanksgiving or like a family party, like everyone's gonna gather around for like, you know, like Aunt Maxine to say this exact thing.
Yeah.
Right.
All right, so that was kind of the banter. That's what we talked about. We talked about funny people for a little bit longer just because of all the technical difficulties, but appreciate you sticking around. So next we're going to talk about expert topics. So prove it to us. So basically everybody's kind of an expert in something. I know John has researched this immensely because he always does. And I know David probably hasn't researched anything. But basically just talk about an expert topic. Help with something you're an expert in for a couple minutes and just give us some facts and prove it to us. I'm going to start with Serpico to get you out of the way.
Sure. So, one thing that is that I really, really enjoy is when funny people kind of glom together into groups. A great example would be, like the, Eugene Levy, Catherine O'Hara, like Paul Schaefer, that that Canadian cluster of comedians, because when they get famous early and stay famous for a long time, you can see the development of these individual performers as well as their sensibilities as a group.
Mm-hmm.
And so I really like seeing that. And also I like, as kind of a mini cluster, Steve Martin and Martin Short, because they met on the set of The Three Amigos, which is, I argue, one of the funniest movies of my lifetime.
Yeah.
It's so silly. It's a love letter to old Hollywood. It gives like three comedians just free reign to just do characters for an hour and a half. And the thing is, I thought that when I saw it originally when I was like a kid, I figured Steve Martin and Martin Short had known each other for years. It turns out that they met on that movie.
Wow.
And they've been doing comedy together ever since.
Wow.
So like every couple of years they go on a big tour. They still do it. I saw them. My wife and I went up to, where's the University of Maine? Is that Camden, Maine? Bangor, Maine?
Bangor. I think it's Bangor.
Yeah. So we went up to Bangor and they played at like it was the two of them. It was Steve Martin and Martin Short. An evening you will forget for the rest of your life, which is so killer. And, they did like just new stuff. They did good new material in front of like 7,000 or 8,000 people. And so the fact that they had me belly laughing at, Steve Martin's 75, I think Martin Short's like 71, and they've been doing it since I was born. Is really, really cool. So as fun as it is to see like Eugene Levy and Catherine O'Hara like work together, it's also fun to see Steve Martin and Martin Short work together, because like as an experiment, if you really love comedy, like watch those groups like evolve as individuals and as a group, and you'll like get this like comedy lesson about how to evolve with the time.
Well, it's kind of why like Who's on First will always be one of the best comedy bits of all time, and why the 20,000-year-old man, Mel Brooks and Kyle Reiner, will just be one of the best comedy bits of all time. It just can't be matched.
It's also it was the polish on it too. And that's what happens when you have those people that are career comedy, is they just put that polish on everything.
It's like you can see, like with Who's on First and like Steve Martin, it's almost like you can see the math behind it, but that doesn't like reveal anything. It's just like watching like a master woodsmith craft something. It's like, that is how you do it. I don't know why I went to master woodsmith, but like that.
Once you said master woodsmith, I pictured a guy like making a surfboard out of wood, so it worked for me. But like dark wood,
oils, and just
like wood would be used to make like a fireplace or a staircase, but like this time it's a surfboard.
This surfboard was made by the most legendary woodsmith.
You see, this is mahogany, but this is cedar. So
the chance of that guy having a long beard is like 10,000%.
And he's got a Point Break like in the background
all the time. It's never.
A few years ago, I was in Las Vegas, and my wife and I went to a David Copperfield magic show. And big ending of the show is he like loads a bunch of people onto like a set of bleachers and then like raises a curtain and makes them vanish. Like literally like 20 people sitting on a bench, raise a curtain, drop a curtain, they are gone. They have teleported 1,000 feet away. And David Copperfield made me disappear. I was one of those people. Mm-hmm. And so I got to see the strings behind how he did that. And for me, that made it even more impressive. And so when you look at, like, that's the analogy I use to articulate David's point, which is, you know, you don't have to be like a scholar of comedy to like watch Who's on First and say it's funny. But if you do study comedy and watch it, like you can see the strings, you can see how the setup and how the cadence all works. But that doesn't make it less impressive. It somehow makes it more impressive.
I've heard people like Norm Macdonald say, "Oh, I don't like talking about comedy. It's like dissecting a frog." I'm like, dissect a frog, man. Like I'm into this stuff. Like it makes me love it, especially like with magic and stuff. But and also like all those SCTV dudes, Eugene Levy, like Harold Ramis, John Kane, like all those dudes. I'm like, I've been actually going back and watching some of their old skits. I'm like, man, they like had it, or if they didn't have it, they was kind of like working through it. And you can see like you see how Eugene Levy started from there, and like like you said, like all of his instincts have developed, and now you got Schitt's Creek. I'm like, oh, that thing he did at Schitt's Creek, he first did at SCTV, and now he can kind of see it. Makes sense. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Now we put it in a custom fitted suit after decades of experience, and now it's perfect.
I think the best example of seeing the strings behind everything, and in terms of comedy groups, would be The State.
Oh,
where you just kind of where you saw them working through stuff so hard, and trying so hard that when they failed, you saw the failures blatantly, but they were still fantastic because you saw the working behind it.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm really
excited
they don't hide any of the strings.
No, they don't.
You know what they're trying to do in every sketch.
Yeah, like I'm really excited about a Black Lady sketch show, which was on HBO, because like all those women. They're all were writers for like Sam B and Robin Thede had her own show and stuff. And they're all on Twitter, and they all talk about like their comedy process and the different projects. And so you can sort of see like the whole, like, it's kind of neat to have like the Twitter up while you're watching the show, and you kind of see how everything kind of goes back and forth. And I think that's cool in this day of age with like social media to see everything. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Key and Peele did the same thing too. Like, here's our skit, here's what's behind it. So.
Like, I love listening to how Key and Peele, like, anytime someone specifically asks them about comedy, they'll give you a lesson in comedy. Same with Joan Rivers, may she rest in peace.
What?
Like, oh, God, I'm so sorry to be the one.
Spoilers.
Literally go on YouTube and just search Joan Rivers comedy interview. Yeah. And she will just lay out a treatise on her process. A process, by the way, which worked for 50 uninterrupted years.
Yeah. Right.
So it's just the stuff you learn. It's awesome.
Even like when I saw the movie Get Out, like I was like, what is it about like the little concepts within this movie? I'm like, this reminds me of comedy writing in a way, like the way that the I don't know, just the sorry, I'm not very articulate on this, but it's a fresh, virgin thought I've never expressed. It just it reminded me of comedy writing and the tightness. If that makes sense.
I love it. We can see her thought come in from the AG&C on a clamshell.
It's because I am the perfect vessel to let you guys know.
I mean, it's what happens when a really, really good comedy writer writes horror. You know,
punchline,
everything. Exactly.
Yes, that's what I mean. The laughs per minute, except like reflection.
It's perfect.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's why I became a tech, was to kind of see the man behind the curtain.
And to see the man
the wizard
behind the curtain.
Yeah, like it's funny whenever Josh refers to himself as a tech, because I think I've seen him perform like so many times that I never think of him as a tech. But go on.
Yeah.
No, Josh is a tech, because when I first started being a tech, Josh was like a senior tech. So in the world of the techs, we see. I haven't learned to do the whole StreamYard thing yet, though. Gotta hop on that.
This is all Matt. Matt's our tech on this one. So thank you, Matt.
Shout out, Matt.
Thank you, Matt. Shout out.
I spent like probably the first 10-ish years doing comedy, being like both jealous of and in awe of the techs, because I'm like, I am getting on stage and doing stupid crap. Mm-hmm. They're doing important stuff. Like, and it was one of those things where like if I would see either of you in the booth, I'm like, oh, those are the adults. Okay. All right. I'm going to be like a silly kid, and they're going to make sure that I'm in my light, and they're going to create the dialogue of the show and the pace of the show. Well, I'm just going to like yell and flail my arms until they tell me I'm done.
Yeah, I do.
Yeah, they
I remember
call
like,
you.
I'm sorry. Go ahead, Dave. I'm sorry, Dave. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, yeah, like they're the ones who call it. They literally turn out the lights on you.
Yeah, we
Feels
as a
good.
tech, Isabel will agree with me. We need to know buttons. Like we need to know comedy buttons. We need to know not just buttons, but we also need to know the buttons to turn off a scene.
Yeah.
Kill a scene and
No, I mean, being a tech is like the best. I'm not gonna just come. You're right, but
I remember the first time I did stand up, and you helped me out so much because I was like, I had a joke and I went, and then it lights out. I was like, thank you so much.
Well, I think it's like you need both, right? Like I don't have the emotional energy to necessarily like 3 nights a week, 3 shows a night be doing shows, but I do have the emotional energy to be teching them. So it's like, you need people who are like get both. But no, being a tech is awesome. You get to see all the shows. The producers and hosts all tell you different stuff about like the same things. It's like the best because you get to see like a disco ball. You get to see every little panel, Yeah.
It's amazing. And you get to see all those strings.
Beautiful. No, interesting points was like when I first teched this show, I was like, hell yeah, I want to be the resident tech on Sketch House because that was like my move at the time before I was producing it. So it was like something about like some song was being discussed and like unsurprisingly, I found like the little part of the song and then played it. And it was like we were saying, like that timing, that rhythm when you can nail it, it's just super satisfying and fun to surprise the performers on stage too.
Especially as a performer. Like I remember when I first had my first like the graduation show when the theater used to be at Inman Square. I remember seeing the tech and I was like, oh, okay, this is for real now. This isn't like a jam or whatever. This is like my first actual improv show. Like the tech's here.
Right. Back in Inman, they were up in the booth.
Yes.
So they were like God.
Yeah, so you walk in, you're like,
Love that.
yeah, I've seen
DJ style.
It would be fun, like running people show, and like if you had like a newer comic on, and it's like, yeah, like do you want to come out to a song? And they're like, like compared to like having to speak over like a fucking bar crowd or something. But it's like no, like there's a whole thing.
Yeah, but it's cool because like if you're just starting out in comedy, you like really want to like just get noticed at an open mic or whatever. But if you start out as a tech, you're like teching, main stage improv shows. You're teching like whatever stand-up shows. Like I like started doing tech when I was like 19, and then I just was doing like I didn't have to audition. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like you're instantly in the artistic process, and then like you're teching, you're learning everything, and then like 2 years go by, and all of a sudden like people are like asking you super important stuff. And like, oh, wow, am I in charge of all of these things?
Am I producing?
That's pretty much what happened to me. I was like, wow, people are asking me questions now, and I'm like, so I can actually do this now,
right?
It's that moment in everyone's life where they realize it's like, wait, I am an adult and people are assuming I'm an adult and they're treating me like one, and I don't know if I like this or not, I love that. The first time I rented a car, that was the first time I truly felt like an adult. Because again, I never had the experience of teching in my 20s. So like my first adult experience was like renting a car at 25, and literally like someone I didn't know at like the Enterprise Rent-A-Car kiosk handed me keys to an actual car.
I'm trusting you with this.
Yeah, it's like it's yours now, and you're gonna bring it back in 3 days. And I'm like, I won't let you down.
Right.
Yes, I'm 25.
Something I'll never forget is that on the show Top Gear, they actually said the fastest car in the world was a rental car with insurance.
Yeah.
Renting a car, it's like the final barrier, like stepping stone in adulthood, though. People play like it's being able to drink at 21, but you have to be like 25 years old, or like you could die in the military like 1,000 times before you are old enough to rent a car, or like buy 1 million cigarettes and flavored nicotine.
The government will give you a gun at 18. They will not give you a car until you're 25.
Right.
Yeah, 25. You could have like multiple degrees at that age, I think.
I'm sorry. I don't know why. I don't know why I found that so funny. I don't know why I found dying a million times in the military before you can rent a car is funny. But
You can though. You can like buy like flavored nicotine vape. Like you can do all the most adult things.
Right. Here's a grenade, but do not rent that car.
Don't rent a car. Don't drive to the Mendon Drive-In to see, a movie.
Right.
That's what I was renting a car.
Give me the car. Take this grenade. I'm taking this Yugo back to the Enterprise.
Uncle Sam will give you a nuclear launch key, but like Kevin that works at Budget Rent-A-Car will not give you a Honda Civic key.
Yeah.
He'll literally spit in your eye before you sign, before he pushes that insurance on you. With a flag waving at the car dealership next door.
Yeah.
So that was John's expert topic.
That was the one.
So we got through one. Let's just do it quickly. Let's just run through some. Rashid, what's your expert topic?
Sorry.
David, what's your expert topic?
My expert topic is Rashid. No, mine. Real quick. I came back home and I decided, like at Thanksgiving last year, I want to get in shape. I'm an expert at eating the exact same thing every single day. That is how you do it. When somebody is like, "Hey, how'd you lose weight?" or whatever, like it's such a lame thing I tell them, but I'm like, this is breakfast, lunch, dinner. You can mix up snacks sometimes between you can put a banana and nuts in a bowl and do whatever the hell you want. But that's it. That's real quick.
But I house a pizza a day and I'm not losing any weight.
Yeah, I was gonna say, what food?
Yeah. It's 3 bowls of ranch a day. I don't know why it's not working for everybody.
Oh, hopefully it's filled with those bananas I had earlier.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Bob's Italian food of Medford is letting me maintain.
Wait, which place is it? Which place?
Bob's Italian food on Main Street.
Okay, yeah. Is that the place with the famous sandwich? Sorry, I'm giving no details.
They're Italian.
I'm very towny right now.
We were just joking about Serpico's topic taking forever, and then you had to say the word famous sandwich.
No, now he's gonna go off again.
I'm made of flesh and blood. I'm not a robot, people.
No, my brother and his little friends would turn into like a real like West Side Story gang and go down to this place in Medford and like get this specific sandwich every day. And my Italian American mom would be like, "What can I make for you?" to my brother, like, what kind of food? And he was like, "Nothing, because you can't make the sandwich." This is when he was like 18.
Wow.
But I
like
recently saw an article. Like,
Yeah,
I think it was you, like, John, I think you shared an article about this place. Someone did on my Facebook feed recently. Like, it's real.
Oh, wow.
I'll investigate. This will be for the next episode.
Yeah, please do.
There's a solid chance. Yeah.
Please do. I wanted to put you on with Serpico again because he has to know.
I don't even know what's in the sandwich, and they talked about it for like years.
It was literally just money. They gave you money in a sandwich.
It probably was.
So, Isabella, what's your expert topic?
So I also didn't really research a topic, but I was kind of thinking about the fact that, I don't know, it's a little bit niche, but the moment when we were kind of talking about it earlier, like how like internet humor that kids are exposed to today is like very like anti-joke, very dark. They like to make the trauma jokes and whatnot. And like, I feel like when things really twisted that way, especially in like youth culture, was around like the turn of like the 2000s to the 2010s. And like, I just remember that like when I was like a kid in the 2000s, like people would always call me a spaz, and like being a spaz was like a thing. Like, oh, you're a spaz, you're so hyper. Like, I don't know if I'm going to get canceled for like saying that, but like, whatever. So yeah, so there was all this media that kind of like seemed to come in for that. Like the show iCarly on Nickelodeon, like the brother was like a spaz type character. Like he would say crazy random things. Like this was kind of the era of like random, like triangles, cats, tacos. And then I really liked the YouTuber Fred. And Fred, I'm here to make a stand for Fred. He's my expert topic because I rediscovered him. He's still alive, but he's really not funny anymore. But what he was like a really high pitched voice, and he would be like, "I'm off my meds," like making these like kind of like edgy jokes about like ADHD meds and being like a hyper kid. But I feel like the spaz character and stereotype kind of helped bring us into a place where like even like youth culture is about like these like sarcastic anti-jokes. Like the extreme of like a spaz like Fred, it seems more natural, you know, than the more innocent child fare. So that's my expert opinion. I rest my case.
So Rashid, what about you?
All right, so this is embarrassing, so bear with me. But the thing I've been thinking about is how, like, when you talk to somebody in, like, a different language, like, how, like, everything changes. Because I'm trying to learn. I'm like, I'm going to, like, educate myself. I'm going to learn, like, relearn Spanish, Japanese, all this stuff. And, like, you know, half the ways I would address somebody in, like, Japanese is, like, super rude. And then half the ways somebody would address me in, like, Spanish is kind of rude, too. And I'm just really interested in, like, so how do you joke? Somebody who likes to tell jokes to people, like, how do you joke across that divide? Like, how do you do that without being seen like weird or rude? And, you know, as Will said, like, I'm totally a random person. So with ADHD and other issues, so how do you get like that across without seeing as being like someone who's like dangerous? You know what I mean? So
like super weird.
Yeah, like
extra weird. Bad weird.
This guy went from talking about Danger Mouse to like 1980s Boston Celtics. I don't know what's going on. You know, that's something that's been like, I mean, because also, you know, I mean, I do have 3 kids and they just frustrate me. So I need like other like Walter Mitty world where instead of having kids, I'm a traveling businessman. I know they're listening right now.
Yep.
Yeah, I got 1 kid. That's enough.
We take what I'm on. We'll be even. I'm just kidding.
My sister-in-law has she and her husband have 5 boys.
Oh, wow.
Ranging in age from 16 to 5.
Wow.
With the 5-year-olds being a pair of twins. And, you know, I visit that. I love visiting them. But being in that house sounds like you're playing like Call of Duty. It's just all screams and explosions.
Yeah.
And so if I was in that all the time, I would also imagine being just like a traveling businessman. Just like you're sitting at like, you know.
You see this?
Yeah.
You see this?
Yeah.
Hair, space, hair,
Yep.
hair, space. I don't
But like you can imagine, like as a counterpoint to the constant noise and constant, like, you know, hey Dad, you know what's interesting? Walls. It's like, what? It's just like thinking about being at like the Cleveland airport, like waiting for a layover flight. You know, you're on like a 40-minute layover. You're drinking like an $8 bottle of water in stone silence. Like that's a pretty good Walter Mitty fantasy right there.
Yeah, because I'm like, well, my kid thinks that heads, because he went to a graveyard where we have some family members who were born, like we're buried, and he's like, oh, that's a stone. Okay, I'm holding a rock. So do people grow into stones when they die? Is this someone's arm? And like, I can't.
Whoa!
I can't do this right now. I'm sorry.
Whoa.
I'm gonna get on TikTok and look at a dance that I can't do. So have fun.
Yeah, well, today my daughter comes into the room and she's like, "You're a prince," and I'm like, "Okay, so I'm a prince. All right, what game are we playing?" She's like, "I'm Cinderella. I'm gonna marry you." I'm like, "Okay."
I have a lot of debt. Like, you don't want to be with me. My nation's deficit is out of control.
I'm levying taxes upon my people.
You're
You
literally
all-
at the door. The revolution's here.
Josh, you are still so much more game for indulging antics than I am. Like I'm so bad. My nephew, it's so sweet. Like last time I saw him, he's like going to bed and he's like, I want Uncle Dave to read to me. Like read him a story. And I'm like, yeah, sure, cool. And like we go up and he's like, read me this Berenstein Bears book. And my first thought is like, can we read something else? Like, and I'm like going through the book and like I'm kind of like skipping over pages so it can be done quicker. He's like, Uncle David, you missed a page. I'm like, oh, whoops, sorry.
Classic move, man. Classic move.
That's with the favorites.
That's a dad move right there.
Yeah, I love it. You're a good dad, Dave.
I'm way ahead of it. We will read Lord of the Rings in 2 nights at that
Fuck, I did that to my daughter 2 nights ago. she brought out the Peter Pan storybook, and I'm like, nope. You know what? Captain Hook isn't in this story anymore.
Right, yeah.
You don't need him.
What happened? Yeah, what happened? Oh, he left.
Yeah, the enjoying the Merchant Marines. Good, upstanding citizen of Captain Hook. Anyway, played a game of baseball with his buddies.
I always forget what he actually does. He's like weirdly the only adult there.
Yeah.
Get a life.
His whole thing is like, I'm gonna make you clean this ship. And he's like, no, he's gonna make us clean.
And he's like not part of the social world. He's like a creepy guy that's there.
the other horrible thing that I've done too. She's like, "Can you read Peter Pan to me?" I was like, "We got Disney Plus."
There's a whole company that's going to read you stuff.
Here's my account information. Just go now.
I really hope my wife isn't watching this one.
Hey, speaking of Disney, Josh screwed me because he told me that the Disney store gives you a key, and so I'm like reading this text out loud to my wife as he said this to me, and my kids hear this, and now it's been like, hey, when are we gonna get our key? And I'm like, pandemic, buddy. Like, really? I think the malls are open. No, pandemic, buddy. We're not gonna get this key.
Yeah, they give you a key. The first kid who's there at the door when they open up, they give you a key to open the store.
And it's adorable, because you, John.
The Disney store is like the buffet of like plushes and outfits. It's all in a pile. Like it's all in different piles and different, like, really tight racks. Like that's the least Corona safe retail store in the world. Don't go there. That's a super spreader event, and it's like all the super spreaders are stitches, like
right.
So that was proven to us. That was an extended version. But you know what? It's just so fun talking to you guys. So I don't even really have a format for this show anymore, to be honest with you. This was probably one of my favorite shows, just because there was no format. It was just kind of chatting and really just all banter. But let's just do one last thing. Let's do let me think. Let's do guilty pleasures, or as I like to call them, things that people might not know that you like. And I'm really guilty about it. You know what I mean? Because everybody says they're not really guilty about it, and that's fine. Mine was MasterChef New Zealand, which I watched that for probably when I did watch that, I watched it every day.
Wow!
Because what it is the show is literally every day. It's not a weekly show. It's an everyday fucking show. They have competition, then recipes, then cooking, learning how to cook, then another competition, then an elimination round. It's every single day, and it has probably it has like 40 people and 40 contestants, and I think that's all in New Zealand. Is on the show.
Yeah.
I can just picture now, like reading Lord of the Rings to a child. You could just kind of describe that, like very grassy, and every day there was a new task to do.
Bring the croquettes to the
The Maori chefs were the coolest ones. Like doing a haka before they cook.
Badass.
That's cool, yeah, because whenever I search for MasterChef, that show comes up. So I never understood why, but that's why. Okay.
Yeah. So, Rashid, what's your guilty pleasure?
Okay. All right. We're going to be friends after this. I promise. Please promise me that, because my guilty pleasure is chiropractic Proctor videos. See, what happened was I had an elbow thing, and I was like looking at like exercises and stuff how to fix my elbow, and then somehow I got in this weird ASMR chiropractic thing. People like popping and cracking, and I can't stop watching it. And YouTube's like, give me some more. I'm like, give me some more. My wife's like, come back to me. I'm like, I'm watching chiropractic. I'll watch these things for 3 hours in a row, like half asleep and pure bliss. And but I'm not guilty about it. I'm not going to apologize anymore.
Yeah, like I think that's good for
my problem
you.
is I always I always see those videos where I'm like, I see the title of it. I'm like, I'm not going to click that. I'm not going to click that. I'm not going to click that. I clicked that. Oh, what did I click that for?
And YouTube knows you clicked it, and now YouTube's just going to feed you more stuff to click.
Yeah, like I made a mistake and clicked the boxer who got his jaw broken right here.
Oh, don't do that.
So when he opened his mouth, this part didn't go. It was like the Predator. It was kind of cool.
Yeah.
So Isabel, what's your guilty pleasure?
You know, I'm thinking about it, and I always say there's no such thing as a guilty pleasure, only a problematic fave. Meaning, you should never be ashamed unless the person is like a Nazi, and then they're a problematic fave. See what I mean? Like, if it's not a problematic fave, then pretend like make like the ASMR and let it all go. Yeah, I don't know. I have a lot. Thinking of funny people. I really liked that show Lunatics by Chris Lilly who did Summer Heights High. It came out like a year ago, and no one else liked it. Same thing with the new Borat. I liked the new Borat. I thought it was funny.
You seen Angry Boys?
I have seen Angry Boys, and I didn't like it as much. I didn't find it as watchable, but I thought it was fun.
I liked it because of the story more than the actual comedy of it. Like the story of his redemption, the kid's redemption, and then everything like that.
Yeah, his shows like have heart.
A lot of heart. I love Chris Lilly. I think he's fantastic.
Hell
And then there's the other show. His first show was one about the Australian of the Year.
Oh yeah. I have actually only seen that once.
Yes. So, David, guilty pleasure or problematic fave?
Problematic fave. My problematic fave is Nazism. Do not highlight that, Rachel.
I eat the same thing every day, and I love Nazis.
We're gonna clip that on Twitch.
Oh, honestly, I think that really might factor in. I think I get a real guilty pleasure out of that. I think I get a real guilty pleasure out of making life difficult for Matt. I honestly think I do, because we have a whole bit. I co-host the Rehash on Fridays at 10:30 with Toki, and we have
great
this
show
whole bit where it's like, thank you, Rashid, and we have this whole bit about like getting HR involved, and I love just imagining Matt just sweating there while it's happening. And Matt, I love Matt. Matt and I are really good friends, and I do it because I know there's a level of trust there. As I'm waiting for him to cut me out.
I have an unnatural, like unright lack of fear because because when I first started like doing comedy stuff, I was an intern at Improv Boston, and my first boss that trained me was Matt, so he got me in trouble a lot. So I have no fear because I already know what it's like to have to apologize.
Oh yeah, and I think it ties into, honestly, like with all of my closer friends, I feel like I like to be a little, I don't know. I think I like to sort of be the butt of a joke, so I say something inviting them to shit on me. I don't know. Maybe it's a weird sex thing, but like,
it's social.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's my problematic phase.
Yourself.
Myself. Yeah.
My problematic baby is David Thomas.
Yep.
So
that's it.
Okay, so I was trying to think, how guilty do I want to get with this? And I think in my past appearances, I've said things that were like more nerdy than guilty. Like I'm pretty sure the last time I was here, I talked about maybe the fact that there's a YouTube channel where there's this guy that eats military rations from around the world. Steve, 1998 MRE. I can watch that dude for hours. So I'm not guilty about that. It's very dirty, but I'm not guilty. Here's the thing that I'm truly guilty about liking. All right. I'm genuinely nervous. Okay. I am not. The UFC is not a guilty pleasure, though it probably ought to be. It's not a guilty pleasure because it's elite level martial arts competition between the best fighters in the world. It's super interesting. I love it. That's not the problem. Here's the problem.
Uh-oh.
Joe Rogan calls a hell of a fight.
Yeah, he does.
And he calls a hell of a fight.
Yeah.
And so, when I'm watching a UFC event and it's Joe Rogan calling the fight instead of John Anik, I'm like, ooh, I'm excited to listen to Joe Rogan. And I'm like, no.
Yeah.
He gives a voice to awful people. He gives a platform to conspiracy theorists. He's creating a generation of emotionally stunted men. But also, he is telling me, it's like, oh, he moved into half guard to set up the Omoplata try. Oh, and then he's and I'm like, I'm learning more about the UFC from Joe Rogan. So that's my guilty pleasure.
Well, it's I can see that. I mean, it's the same way with Jerry Lawler in wrestling. Like, you just know how horrible of a person he is, and you know how disgusting of a person he is. Yet you actually got to listen to him. You know, it's So that was our show.
Oh man,
we did it.
I kind of don't want it to end, but it does have to end, unfortunately. What I do want to mention is that we've got 2 shows premiering tomorrow night. Tawanda Draws, 7 p.m. Brooklyn comedian Tawanda Ghana shows you how he makes his web comics. Very funny guy, very, very funny comedian. Love his stuff. And Mind Over Matter Season 2, their reality show competition is back with all new challenges and new cast of competitors. Some really cool surprises. So check both those out. Thank you all for coming. Thank you all for being my guests tonight. Thank you, Isabella O'Connell. Thank you, Rashid Towns.
Thank you for having me.
Thomas. Thank you, John Serpico. Thank you, Matt, in the booth. Thanks to all the audience members. We'll see you again next Tuesday. Thanks. Have a great night.
Bye. Thanks.
Bye.